Welcome back to the Student of the Game podcast, and thank you all for tuning in to our 31 Nights of Horror. So, horror movie number, I believe this is number 9. We're going to talk about Scream. Scream, yes. I remember when this movie came out in 1996 when I first saw this poster, and all I needed to see was a Wes Craven film. I'm like, all right, all right. So, the creator of Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street and The Shocker, okay, is back. Let's see what he has in store for us. And then you see Drew Barrymore on there, and I'm like, I'm a big fan of Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore was A-list back then. I'm not saying she's not A-list anymore, but she was A-list, so you knew if she was in a movie, it was going to be awesome. And I'm like, they got an A-lister in Drew Barrymore to do a horror movie. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie, she dies in the beginning. When that happened, that just left me in shock for like the next 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. I'm like, they killed Drew. How you gonna kill Drew, dude? But that lets you know that, hey, anybody's fair game in this movie, okay? But you see that young lady right there, Nev Campbell, she stepped in and she filled right in. And her role as Sydney Prescott, she ends up being one of the most feared and one of the goats of the final girls in horror movie history. I mean, she was awesome. She reminded me of as far as final girls, since we're on the topic of final girls, she reminded me more of Heather Langenkamp as Nancy or Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, because they would, hey, they're not gonna go down without fighting. They're gonna fight, okay? And she was smart. She was smart, and she moved with purpose. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, if you go back and look at the first Halloween movie, you see Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis. She was just ah, the damsel in distress, and it was just ridiculous when you go back and watch that. Sydney Prescott, oh, she was about that action, boss. She was about that action for real. And another thing with this movie, the whole who did it, who done it. A lot of these characters, these actors, a lot of us we wasn't too familiar with, and we didn't know who to trust. All right, so that's why it's like it could be Gail, it could be Dewey, it could be the boyfriend. Hell, it's always the boyfriend, but it end up being the boyfriend and his friend, or it could be the movie Horror Geek. You know what I'm saying? And what I miss back in the day with the Scream movies, man, it was always an event. You wasn't exposed to a lot of social media where people just doing drive-by spoilers. Like, people was ready to throw them hands if you were spoiling a Scream movie. It was an event. But anyway, share your thoughts and let me know, what do you think about Scream?